everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we are back again with Romantic Country, a fantasy coloring book by Erie. I absolutely love this coloring book. I've been using it to show you some different things you can do to improve your coloring, giving you a few little tips and tricks and such, and you all seem to really be loving those videos. So I've decided to just make it a series here on my channel because so many of you have requested it. So today's going to be part 3 of those videos. If you did not see part 1 and 2, they are in a playlist, and I'll make sure they're linked in the upper right hand corner so that you could find those videos just in case you just stumbled upon this one. If you just found my channel today, please do subscribe and turn your bell notifications on. I would love to have you join my little coloring community here. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up because it really helps my channel out a whole lot, and it really just helps me to grow, and it helps my videos to be put in front of other people's eyes that are looking for videos like this one. I am also on Patreon, where you could get to know me on a much more personal level. I'm also available to give you advice on your coloring pages, help you with color combinations, and much more. So there will be a link down in the description box below for that, as well as a link to my Facebook group if you'd like to join my Facebook community. And I also do have an email list. If you would like to sign up for that, when you join my email list, you will get a color swatching chart back for free in your email where you can swatch all of your lovely colored pencils. Let's go ahead and get into this video so we can start learning a few more tips and tricks on how to improve your coloring skills. This is the page we've been working on in all of my previous videos in this tips and tricks series. And there were a few things we learned in previous videos. If you would like to go back and see those, again, that will be linked in the upper right hand corner. This part up here where I colored these pots, I showed you the difference in what flat coloring looks like and the difference in your coloring as you start to add more colors and create more depth and highlights and dimension. And here we've burnished it out a little more, and this one here we kept more highlights. I think I colored this one off camera, but my intention with this one was to give this one much more texture and stuff to really make it look like they both look like they're popping off the page, but they both have a little bit of a different look. This one has more texture and this one is more burnished out. And then over here I did these two leaves. This one I showed you how I would color it if I didn't want it to stand out as much, but this is the difference you would get if you added or intentionally added much more brighter colors and left a bigger highlight area to really just make it be much more vibrant and kind of pop off the page. There were other things that we covered in those videos. I can't remember exactly what I demonstrated with this pot here. I think this was how to blend and maybe using the blender pencils. I can't really remember what that lesson was, but there were quite a few things we learned in those previous videos. So if you want to see those and you're interested in any of the things I just talked about, make sure you go back and you check out the playlist and you watch the previous videos before sitting down to watch this one, or watch this one first and then go back, whatever you want to do. So today is going to be one of the most important videos in this series. Today in this video I want to discuss something with all of you that is very, very important as a colorist. The fact that we all are always critiquing our work. And the reason that I'm bringing this up in a video is because I see so many posts in my Facebook group, and this is kind of what gave me the idea for this video because I feel like it is so important. I see it not just in my Facebook group, and I don't see it as often actually in my Facebook group as I do in other Facebook groups, but somebody will post their picture and they will instantly, in their wording, be critiquing what they're posting because of fear of what someone else may think of their coloring page. Now, I want to say though that my Facebook group, I absolutely love the members of my Facebook group. I have such a supportive community on Facebook, and anytime anyone posts their work, whether they are a beginner, more advanced, or no matter where they are in their coloring journey, everybody is always so supportive in the comments. There has been maybe, I've had my Facebook group for months and months now, I think like maybe 9 months. And in that 9 months, I may have found maybe 2 or 3 comments that I did not approve. And when something like that happens, those people are instantly taken out and removed from my group because I have no tolerance for that. I really honestly just don't. So with that being said, I want to encourage all of you, especially if you're in my Facebook group or no matter what Facebook group you're in, I want to encourage you, especially as a beginner, to share your work. That is one of the most important things you can do, because when you share your work, it gives you more confidence to keep on going, because we're all motivated, or at least most of us are motivated by getting that kind of positive recognition. And so I know for me, like even by making these videos and everybody appreciating my videos so much, I get something out of that in the way of just feeling like I'm getting some kind of positive recognition and everybody's really appreciating my videos, and it just motivates me to make more videos and make better videos and keep bringing you guys the best content that I possibly can. And that is how I'm motivated, and I would hate to think that I am the only one that is motivated in that way. I would love to think that so many other people get motivation from that. So that is why it's so important to share your work. But today in this video, we're going to talk about how you would fix your mistakes on a coloring page. And I'm going to show you examples of exactly how to do that. It is so very important not to critique your own work, because when you start critiquing your own work, it kind of takes the whole fun out of the process of learning. And when you're coloring, you want to keep coloring. Like, you don't want to just start this hobby and then kind of give up on it, because coloring is one of the most relaxing hobbies you can possibly do. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's like I have the pencil in my hand and I watch the color go onto the paper, and the smoothness between the paper and the pencil and the way it just works together, it just really calms me. And I would like to think that other people are the same way, and that's why we color. I mean, that's what coloring is for. It started out as an adult coloring hobby for relaxation. So we want to keep it there. We don't want it to go out of that box and become a frustrating hobby to where we just stop doing it because it becomes frustrating. So don't critique your work anymore. But if you are coloring and you see something that you think might be a mistake, I'm going to show you how you would fix that mistake. But I also want you to know that just because you feel like that is a mistake, somebody else may look at your coloring page and they won't even see it. Like, when people post their coloring pages and they feel like they made a mistake, I will look at the coloring page and I think it looks fine. I don't notice anything. So in your mind, it's a mistake, but in somebody else's mind, when they're looking at it or through their eyes, they're looking at it as art, your art. And no matter what level you're at, your art is always beautiful because it's art. And you created it, so it should be special to you. Just remember, while we're on this coloring journey and we are continuing to progress and learn at the same time, that you are actually learning something every single day. And all it takes is just to practice. And videos like mine, I think, are very helpful, because I am not just, in these videos at least, I'm not laying all of the colors down on the paper and saying, do it like this, or color like me, or use the same colors. I'm showing you different techniques that you can use, and you could bring them over to other coloring pages that you may be coloring, because not everybody wants to color this page in this book. You may want to color something else, or maybe you have a canister on another page with a shelf and you are in the middle of coloring it somewhere else and you want to be able to do that. In this lesson here, where we learned how to create a focal point in the last video, maybe you have something on another coloring page that you're working on right now and you want to be able to make something look like it is actually the focal point, or you want it to stand out more than something it's sitting upon. You can use all of these lessons in any other coloring page. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you, I'm going to purposely make a mistake or something I don't like, and I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. I think I'm going to start with these pots up here, and since I already did this one blue, I don't even remember what colors I used on this one, but I'm going to go ahead and start coloring one of these pots blue, and I'm going to show you exactly how to fix a mistake. So if I come over here and I just start adding in this color, what color is this? Cerulean blue? I'm probably not even pronouncing it right. So you all know when I color, I tend to make the object that is looking behind so that it's sitting behind. And how you would do that is you would add much more color in this area. So instead, I'm just going to put some of this color just kind of all over and just make a very flat coloring here. And I'm going to go over with a little bit more of another layer here in this area. And then I'm going to come back with another blue. This one is electric blue, which is a little brighter. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add some of this lighter, brighter blue in the top one. And then down into here. Okay, so I've got a lot of blue laid down there, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh gosh, I really don't know if I want to use blue because these blues are so different from the blue that I used over here, and I kind of want them all matching, or maybe I just don't like it, or I put the colors in the wrong place, or I maybe didn't put or leave enough area for the highlights here in this area. Like generally, I would put my highlight like up in here if I were actually coloring this, and I would leave a little bit of a highlight over in here if I were actually coloring it and not just using the pots as a demonstration. So I actually have a few different erasers, but I don't know how many of you realize that colored pencils, you can erase them. You can erase them and then you can go back over the area and you can color it with a different color, or you can color it with the same color of the same color family, or you can really do whatever you want. So I'm not really sure with these books how much of the pigment it's going to take up. It doesn't always take up all of it. So after you take up some of the pigment, you kind of then too need to make a few more adjustments, and I'm going to show you that if that does happen. So I've got 3 different erasers here. This is one I got a long time ago for a lot of my pencil drawings, because some of you probably don't know, but I draw too. But this I mainly use for like my graphite pencils and stuff, and it's a really good sharpener, or a really good eraser. And then I have this Tombow mono eraser, the big one, and we're gonna try that one out. And this is also, this will give you guys a really good idea of which eraser works best on colored pencils. So that's cool, right? So, and then here we have my Tombow mono eraser. This is my most favorite eraser in the entire world, because this one gets into very tiny, tiny, small areas. So say like with this one, if I had gotten this blue kind of outside of the lines, all I had to do was take this one. The way that it works is you just push down on the top like a pencil or whatever. You don't want to have too much out because it'll just break off. So just about like that is fine. But if you had pigment like on the outside and you had gone out of the lines, this is very good for just getting in those really small areas and just removing the pigment that got outside of of your coloring area. And a lot of times when you're using, if you're using Prismacolors or another wax-based pencil, you will notice that the wax will kind of come off the pencil and it will smear a little bit onto your paper. And so this is also really, really good for that, because when that happens and it starts getting out of the areas or getting onto the areas where you want to be a background or you just don't want to do a background and you want it to be left white, this is really, really good for that. And it does generally take up most of the pigment. So if you colored something wrong and it was like an entire area like this, let's go ahead and try this one first. I'm not sure what I can't remember what the name of this one is, but if this one works really well, then I'll make sure that this one is linked down in the description below. I'll make sure they're all linked down in the description below. So I didn't like what I did. And so I just came right back over it. And look what a great job that did. Now, like I said, it's not going to take off all of the pigment at all. Let's go ahead and try the mono over the top of that one and see what that one does, if this works better. I think they all work about the same, but that one, that big one, is going to do the same as this one, but this one is great for very small little areas. I'll definitely make sure it's linked down below. I know so many of you have picked up this mono eraser and you have absolutely loved it, along with that Doll 133 sharpener. Those are my two must-have essential tools for coloring. But this one worked really, really well, and I think they actually both worked about the same. I absolutely love any of these Tombow erasers. They are fantastic. So after you do that, and you have taken up as much of the pigment as you can, you don't really want to keep going over it too much. I mean, I can, and it will lift a little bit more, but I don't want to like damage the paper or get rid of too much of the lines that are actually on the paper. So I am just going to leave it like that. And then say you come back and you're like, okay, well, I had it blue and I didn't like the way that it looked blue, and maybe I want to color this one. I don't know. What should we color it? We haven't used oranges yet. I don't think I tend to use a lot of oranges in my coloring pages. Let's make it red. Let's have a red one. So let me just grab a couple colors and I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to fix this and how we can cover it. So I went and picked a couple colors in the red family. This one has a little bit of brown in it. I think this is my Tuscan red. So this is kind of like a brownish red. And then I have more of a true red. This is my crimson red. And then I wanted to make sure I had a little bit of something to add a little bit of variance to it. And so I picked up my goldenrod, and I have no idea how these are going to look together because I've never put these colors together, but I just kind of picked something and we're going to experiment. And that's just sometimes what you guys have to do. So let's go ahead. Let me actually sharpen my Tuscan red because I want to make sure I have a really sharp lead. You guys know I'm using my favorite pencil sharpener, my Doll 133. Favorite pencil sharpener ever. So let's go ahead and come in here, and I'm going to use my goldenrod, and you're going to see how these colors are just going to go right over this where we had the blue. Like you could see the blue is still there, but we're going to rectify this and we are going to actually fix it. So I'm going to come in here, and I think I'm going to do this goldenrod all the way kind of down the center. And you guys know that usually I use very bright highlight colors. And I just kind of wanted to try this. This is very different for me. And that is mainly because you have to find some kind of way to be able to cover the color that was actually there. Because we had blue there, I'm not going to be able to take one of my really bright, vibrant colors like up here in this leaf that just really, you know, pop off of the page. That may not be enough to actually cover the area where I made what I felt like was a mistake. And I hate using that word mistake. I really, really do, because like I said before, when you're coloring, there's really no mistakes. Every time you do something where you feel like you messed up, you should use it as a learning experience. So now I'm going to come in with the crimson red, and I'm going to show you what we can do here. I feel like there's like a shadow across the page, and I already brought out another light, so I'm not really going to be able to do anything about it. So I hope it doesn't look bad in the filming. So I'm just adding in the red now. And I'm going to bring the red down over here, down this side. And see how the red is just kind of really covering up that blue? Because see, if I used colors that were far too light, they're not going to cover up that blue. And it is kind of going to be a different shade because I'm putting the red over what was blue. But by the time I get done, it really should not look too bad. I don't know about the color combination I chose, but we're going to go with it because that's the point of this video. Okay, so let's come down over here, and this is my darkest color. This is my Tuscan red, and this is what I'm going to use to really kind of make the magic happen and add in a little bit of texture and kind of go over some of this red and deepen our lines and make this look like there was never any blue to be heard of. Because we didn't like that blue, remember? Even though the one next to it was blue. Of course, I love blue, but this is just for the tutorial. But blue is one of my favorite colors. It's just such a calming color. I love coloring with blue, especially late at night or later into the evening. So look how it just kind of covered up that blue. And even where I had the lighter blue, here towards the center, where I put the goldenrod to use that as a highlight, it's still even covered in there. Like, is that really just amazing? But you would never know that this object was once blue. And if you wanted to bring in more colors and add to it, and make the shadows even darker and stand out more, you could do that as well. I could come in here and I could just take my darker red and kind of go all the way across and create more texture on these like I did in these to the top. Now let's come in and add a little bit more of that red. And kind of pull that darker color through. Okay, so now let's come back again with our goldenrod. And if you want to keep it, like, this is another really cool lesson to be learned, because like right here where I just went straight over and I colored it, I actually pulled some of the, was that crimson red? I pulled some of the crimson red into the center area with the goldenrod pencil, and you can see if you look at these areas compared to these areas here, these stand out much more because of what I did right here. So you can see that this is much more orange because the goldenrod actually mixed with the crimson red, and so it kind of took out that highlight Now, I don't really care for that. Actually, I don't really care for that. So I'm going to come in with my Mono Zero, and that's so funny because I didn't do this on purpose. But I'm going to come in here with my Mono Zero, and look at that. I lifted the color back up again. And so I'm going to come back in here and I'm just going to pull this through a little bit more without touching that center area. But isn't that amazing? I hope that y'all are able to see that on camera. Sometimes I wonder if some of the smaller areas that I color are able to be seen. When I edit this video, I'll make sure that I zoom it in a whole lot just to make sure that you guys can see how that happened. But isn't that so amazing? Because I didn't even do that on purpose. Like, I totally didn't make that mistake on purpose. Now, see, that shows you that me, as I've been coloring for probably 5 years, and before that I did like other artistic things, not necessarily even with colored pencils. I've really learned colored pencils over time just through practice. But I did not make that mistake on purpose, and that just goes to show that even I still make mistakes, or I still do something that I would consider a mistake that somebody else may look at it and not consider a mistake. But I just didn't like the way that it looked, so I came back and I was able to fix it just by that one little mono eraser. When I tell you that eraser is just absolutely amazing, it really truly is. Now, if I just keep coming back in here and I keep adding more of my shadow colors, it's going to help me create so much more depth, and that is what's so important about the layers. But would you look at this now and ever even think that that was ever once blue? I would never know that I ever had blue laid down there. And I would have never known that I had accidentally blended my colors together rather than, like, I don't know, sometimes when I'm doing my videos, I will say I'm going to take this color and I'm going to kind of pull this color through. And I've had comments before, people asking me, what do you mean by pulling it through? And what I mean by pulling it through is kind of exactly what I did right there, but I pulled it too far through. And sometimes you just don't want to do that. Now, if I still looked at this and I still thought that I didn't have enough of that highlight there, I could come back again and do that again and kind of open it up even more. And let's try something else. Let's try to get really creative here. And we're gonna see if this works. This is kind of experiment on camera too, but I've got my Deco Yellow, and this is kind of a little bit of experiment because I don't know if this is gonna work or not work, but as you can see, I didn't need very much of that goldenrod at all. I only used the goldenrod to go over those areas to make sure that I colored where the blue originally was. Now, I'm thinking that maybe I wanna brighten this up more. And I'm wondering if I should make it look a little bit more yellow, or maybe even add in white. Let me go ahead and try the Deco Yellow, since it already is yellow with a very little bit of that goldenrod. Just that very little bit, like one very light layer. I don't know if you guys know this, but your Prismacolors, every one of your 150 set of Prismacolors, like you've got way more than 150 colors, because each one of those colors, they make a completely different shade. And that's why when I do my swatch sheets, I do, if you, those of you that have watched my swatching videos, I just actually did one on the Crayola signature pencils. That was a video that went up today. This is probably tomorrow's video or the next day's video, but I just did a swatching video, so those of you that are new and you've already watched that video, you'll see that when I swatch out my pencils, I do a light, which is like usually one layer, and then a medium, which is like a couple layers or 3 layers, and then I do a very dark where I use very heavy pressure on the pencil because I want to always be able to look at my swatch and I want to be able to see the different variances I can get out of each color. This is my swatch sheet for my entire 144 set of Black Widow pencils. One of my favorites. I love my Black Widow pencils, but I just wanted to be able to show you this to show you that when I swatch my pencils, you can see here, like if you look at this lavender one, you can see here, if you look at any of them, but like I've got dark and then medium and then very light, because every single colored pencil, you have a very different variance of colors and different values that are going to come out of that one color. So even though like this Black Widow set, I've got 144 colors, or my Prismacolor, I've got 150 colors, there are way more colors in that set than 150 or 144. Like the video I did yesterday of the 24 colors of the Crayola Signature blend-in shade pencils, you may only get 24 shades in there, but you can create so much more out of those 24 shades depending on the pressure you put behind the pencil, or the layers you lay down on the paper, or the way that you mix the colors together. And maybe that will be a future tutorial, and I'll show you how you can mix colors together to be able to create different colors, because that is one of the best things and one of the most amazing things about these any colored pencils. This here is the perfect example. This is from the bubble tutorial that I just did. I'll make sure that's linked in the upper right hand corner just in case you're interested in seeing that tutorial. But this is the bubble tutorial I did where I showed you how to color bubbles. It had been requested for months and months and months, probably close to a year, and I had never done it, so I figured let me go ahead and put that video out. But if you didn't already see that video, I'll make sure it's linked. But this is the perfect example of that, because you can look at this, and I only used blues and yellows in here, but if you look at it really, really closely, the blues and the yellows, when they mixed, there is actually right in here a shade of green. I used absolutely no green when I was creating these bubbles, but you can see a reflection of green in the bubbles, which makes all the difference in the world, because it makes a greater variance in the difference in the colors, because now we not only have blues and the yellows and then the white for the highlight, we have the blues and the yellows and the white for the highlight, and then we've got green in here that really makes that highlight just kind of pop. So that is one of the most very cool things that you could actually do with your colored pencils. So I zoomed you in a little bit more, and we're going to get into what we were discussing earlier, and we're going to see what we can do to really make this stand out and pop much, much more. Now, generally, I do want to say, if I were coloring this, and this was this pot inside this other pot, and it was an actual coloring tutorial aside from trying to show you all this technique and how to fix a mistake, I would probably color this pot a totally different color than I colored this pot, because I want them to actually show separation, one object from the other. And here, looking at these two pots, when I look at these two pots, it is showing you you could see the pots, but they actually look like they're just one running, just like one full object. They don't have any clear separation or anything like that. And so that is very important to make sure that when you're coloring things like this and they're kind of one on top of the other, like I maybe would had used these colors differently, or I would have colored this one in with a different color just to make it stand out more, or make one be more focal than the other one, like I showed you in this lesson down here, where we made the canister the focal point upon the shelf, where the shelf is still there and it's absolutely beautiful. It has texture and everything else, but our focal point is the actual bright, beautiful green basil canister. So let's come in with our Deco Yellow. And we are going to come in the center here. And I'm just going to add this highlight color. And see, it still lays down. You could still keep piling and laying in the colors with these Prismacolors. And generally, I wouldn't have necessarily chosen this color to add in there. Again, I just wanted to show you this for the lesson in the video and show you that it is totally possible to fix your mistakes and be able to go over one color, no matter what color it is, and lay another color down on top. But I'm sitting here thinking maybe I should show you that like we could erase all of this off of it too and totally redo it again if we thought that we made another mistake, but I don't know. I don't want to like totally ruin the page. Like so many of you have asked me to actually complete this page and color this page that I've been using as a tester page in all these videos. I've done so much to this page that there is no way that I could color this page now, because if I were actually coloring this page, I would not have chosen the colors that I've chosen to show you the different examples and the different techniques and the different things you can do and all of these tips and tricks and stuff. And yeah, I wouldn't have done that. For me, it would be much easier if I was actually going to color this page to just get another $10 coloring book so that I had this page available to me to be able to color again. And I was kind of sad when I started coloring it and using it as a tester page, and I was like, oh my gosh, but I really like this page and I kind of want to color it. But that's okay. Because I have a YouTube channel, I have doubles of so many coloring books because I use so many of my pages as testers. So I'm going to go ahead and try that on camera. Like now that it came up in just talking about it, so many things I sit here and I talk about, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be another video. Like when we were talking about the different blends of the colors and how to blend the colors to come up with other colors and expand upon your 150 set, or like the Black Widows had 144 to be able to expand upon those colors. If you want to see a video like that, please let me know in the comments below, because that sounds like a really cool video idea. So we're going to go ahead and try to do this. Now, I want to tell you, even trying to fix the mistake and show you that it is very easy to lay other colors off or over the top of other colors, I don't like how this turned out. Like I don't like it. If I was coloring this page, I probably would have never chosen those colors. I just really wanted to be able to show you all that if you lay something down like blue, like you really need to come back and you need to make a good choice of colors to be able to layer over the colors that were there. Like if the colors are very, very dark, you're going to have to come back when you come back and use colors that are more dark and more vibrant. I think this is just going to have to be a fixing your mistakes video, like the whole entire video. I was going to show you some more tips and tricks, but I think that should probably go into the next video. So when you have this much pigment laid down on the paper and you want to come back and you want to try to erase it, I'm attempting this. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is a really good experiment for me to show you, because we're going to find out if it's possible or not. But I have never done this once I've gotten this much pigment down on the paper. Usually if I lay a color down and I know that I'm not going to like it, I come back and I erase it before I've gone too far. So this time we are working with reds, and red is a very hard color to pick up. So we're going to attempt this and we are going to see what happens. So when I come in here and I start erasing though, I am not going to pull out into the white. I'm going to have to be very, very careful, because if I do that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this pigment out into the areas where I don't want it. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Is it really pulling it up? Look at this. Is that eraser not amazing? Look at the red pigment on the eraser. I am shocked, y'all. I am really shocked. Look at that. I'm being very careful not to go in the areas I shouldn't be. And I see some of it spreading, so I'm going to come back in with my Mono Zero. And I'm going to start at the edge and move my way inward. Look at this. I honestly didn't think that red would pull up, because red is a very strong color and red pigment is very difficult to take up. Look. I can't believe that. I really can't. I don't know. Do you guys think I could come back now and still rectify this? I'm thinking if I wanted to come back and rectify it, like possibly I may have to do that with marker, maybe. Make sure you blow it off, and I am going to, I'm actually erasing off to the side on my swatching sheet where I test out all my colors so that I could get all of the red off of the tip. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try to pull more of that pigment up without damaging the paper. And I'm pretty much down to the blue, like you could see it clearly. And then I'm taking the red off the tip. I wish I had a brush. Do I have a brush? Let me see. I do. I have a paintbrush here. Okay. Now I have all the white off the tip, and I'm going to come over here and take this off the white of the paper where it got into my background area. I'm telling you, if you guys don't have one of these erasers, you need to pick one up. I will have the link for this eraser down in the description below for sure, because this is one of the most amazing tools, and every colorist needs to have one of these. Now, do you guys think we could go over this and kind of rectify it again? I think we should test it out and see if we can do that. Like, I made this video, but it's like I'm learning right along with y'all. Actually. And I wanted to make sure I didn't put my hands over it because I didn't want to smear pigment. That's why I'm grabbing the brush. Should we go ahead and come back with the blues maybe and just color this bottom one with the blues and then maybe do this one a different color and see what we can do? This one is a really pretty blue. It's Caribbean Sea. And I'm kind of testing out my colors over here to the side. I'm just going to use that blue. So I got 3 colors here that I'm going to try. See, now we're going to go back to blue. So we can we like lay blue down and then get rid of the blue and lay red over it and then get rid of the red? We're going to find out. So I've got Ultramarine and Caribbean Sea and Cerulean Blue. I know that I'm saying that wrong. Okay, so let's go ahead and come in here. I'm only going to do the bottom one blue because I kind of want to do the other one a different color, just so, like I said, they stand apart from one another. Because if you have 2 things, like I said, sitting inside one another, you want there to be some kind of separation. You don't want them to look as though they are completely one object. And because they were colored the same way when I went and colored them in, just to show you an example of how you can put color over another color, even after you erase, they just did not look right because they just looked like one object. So we're going to come in and lay this lighter blue back in here. This is the Caribbean Blue. And then I'm going to come in with my Cerulean Blue. however you say that color. And it's still covering. Gosh, at this point, I wonder how much paper I have left under here. Let's see if I can actually work some magic here. So this is my ultramarine. So this is my darkest color. Guys, if I actually do this and rectify this, I'm really going to be amazed at myself. I really am. And see, now I'm coloring like I would normally color, because now I'm trying to really show you that this is totally possible. And you can come back and actually make it look the way that it should. But I'm trying not to press too hard, because with all of the erasing and the trying to fix it I've already done, I feel like I've already gone into the paper quite a lot. But I'm determined to make this work. I really am. I am looking at this and I see that yellow still in the center, and I'm wondering if I should still make that yellow shade just kind of work and stay out of that area. Would that be so cool if that actually worked? I might leave that yellow there. Guys, this is totally working. Look at this. Look at this. That area in there, we are going to use that yellow, and we're not going to lay any more down, and we're going to leave all that there as highlights because it looks really cool. I just need to make sure that I lay enough of these blues down so that we don't see the red. But look at this. Oh my. You see how I'm just kind of learning right along with you guys? And that's what coloring is all about. It's just about experimenting with your colored pencils. And see, we all learn something new every single day. And I even learned something new today. Y'all, I think I'm gonna cry. I can't find my indigo blue anywhere. That's my favorite color, and it's just like missing. I don't know where it went. It must have got legs and ran off. Okay, so I grabbed the Indian Throne Blue instead. And so I'm just going to come in here and add more pigment and kind of line this area here, just to create a little bit more shadows. My indigo blue would have worked much better. Oh my gosh, look at that. So it works. And look what I did. I just left that yellow that had been laid down and then erased, and it just created a highlight in the pot. Oh, that is so cool. That is so, so cool. So look at that. Like, you cannot even ever tell that that pot was blue and then it was erased and then it was red with some yellow highlights, and then it was erased again. And then I went back and I did it blue. I'm wondering if I have the time in this video to go ahead and show you the difference that it's going to make just by coloring this pot a different color. Now see, when we color this pot, the blue was dark enough to go over the red and kind of combat some of that color that was down there, and it gave it really nice coverage. So we're gonna have to do something else with this one and make it a different color. And okay, y'all, so I got out my color wheel. And as you know, when you're looking at the color wheel, if you want something to be completely complementary and you want things to stand out from one another, then you are going to go to the exact opposite end of the color wheel. So if I look at my color wheel and I kind of match this up, I'm going to be more here in the violet blues than I am the blues, I think, because I did use some violet-y type blues in this. Now what is straight across the color wheel? So if we go straight across from our violet blues and we go across from that, we are going to be at the yellow oranges. So what do y'all think? Do you think that we can kind of bring some of these colors back in? Like this goldenrod that I was using is almost a perfect match to the yellow. It's basically a yellow orange. So I'm wondering if we can come back in and redo this and lay our color down enough to where it stands out enough, and then these will be completely complementary from one another, so they won't look like an object that is just ongoing, and it will create that separation. But we're gonna have to go, I think, we could still use the yellow that is kind of standing out here if we wanted to, I believe, but we can't make this one blue. We want to make it look like it is completely separate. I'm gonna show you this. I have some colors here, and I chose goldenrod, of course, and then my cadmium orange hue, and I have henna. And this is going to turn into totally another tip and trick, because this totally is a tip and trick. And this kind of reflects back to what I talked about earlier, where if you blend your colors together, you can come up with a completely different color. So now look at this. When I do this, like I showed you in my last video, always have a test sheet off to the side so you could check your colors before you put them on your coloring page, because you don't want to mess up your coloring page because you chose the wrong colors. Now, had I just decided, oh, I'm going to use, because my color wheel told me that I'm going to use, you know, the yellow oranges, and I want to stick to like the yellow orange type shades, let me just pick two and let me just go ahead and put them down on my page because my color wheel told me to. No, it doesn't work that way. So what I did is I laid this color down, and then I came in with my goldenrod and I laid that down with it. Now I'm looking at these, and these may blend together very well for totally another purpose, but I don't like that color specifically for my pot. I feel like I need a little bit more of something that has some kind of brown or brownish red or something like that in it. Using these two colors, or just these two colors, it's going to make it very difficult for me to be able to create the look that I'm trying to create, where I just want to be able to add some texture onto the paper, and I really need a darker color to be able to do that. So when I decided to come back, like you could see I did it here, and this is where I was testing them out, but I decided to come back and I grabbed my henna, and I don't generally use my henna a whole lot unless I'm coloring skin. But I thought, let me try it. So then I came back in here and I added it in here. Now that doesn't look great, does it? I don't like that at all. But when I come back and I go over this color, now look at that. Do you see how putting the henna with the orange, the cadmium orange, how it just dramatically change the color? And this is just me mixing the colors. Now you can do it either way. I laid that color down. Then I could come back with this color. And all it's doing really is just kind of adding orange to this color and kind of brightening it up. Or you can lay down this color first, which is what I'm going to do because I want the base of it to be much brighter, to be able to stand out. And then I'm just going to come back and I'm going to shade with a little bit of this. Now, do you see what I'm trying to show you? Like, see how this even looks like a different color because I laid them down differently? And then I came over here and I laid them down the opposite direction, and I didn't lay as much of the henna down. And it has a different look, like a completely different look. They look similar. So I guess I shouldn't say a completely different look, but they look similar, but they still look different at the same time. And this here is more of the look that I'm going for because I want the color to have some of this reddish, brownish type of color in it, but I also want the orange to be able to show so that when I come in with this color, look how that just really blends together all nicely. And then I can use my goldenrod as my highlight color. Now it's time to get to work and see what we can actually create. So I'm going to come in here where I originally had the goldenrod before it was erased. Let me pull this down just a little bit so you guys can see. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put just a little bit of goldenrod back into these areas here. Now I'm going to come with my cadmium orange. And I'm just kind of laying this in. Now I'm going to come back with the henna, and this is where it is going to completely change the way that it looks. But I'm trying to make sure that I just add that amount of depth that I need here. Okay, so I sharpened my henna. Always make sure that you have a nice sharp tip, especially when you're trying to get into very small areas like this. And I'm trying to just kind of like line some of these areas and add more depth in where it belongs, like to create that separation in these, you know, like where the original lines were, because we had come back and we had erased so many times that it actually gets rid of some of the lines on the actual coloring page. So you're going to need to use your colors to kind of go back and draw those back in. And I'm thinking that I may want to come in and add a brown. Now I'm coming back right now with my cadmium orange hue. And I'm just kind of brightening this up. Again, I don't want to touch it, so I'm going to get my brush and just kind of brush some of this pigment out of the way. But do you guys see the difference here? Do you see how they don't look like just one object? Okay, so I'm coming back with my Tuscan red, and this is how I am going to, I need to angle it a little bit so that I can really get in here. But this is how I am going to create so much more shadow and depth just by using this color. I mean, if you looked at this, would you even know how many times this was erased and redone? I would actually never have a clue. Okay, so let me just, again, I'm going to pull this through. Like so many of you ask me what I mean by pulling it through, but that just means pulling the color out so that it looks more blended, because this Tuscan red is a very deep color. And I'm going to come back and add a little bit of orange. That just adds that brightness right back in there. Look how pretty that is. And then I don't want to add too much of this goldenrod, because remember what happened when I did that before? I'm just going to go over this, all of the other colors with the goldenrod. And I'm going to stay out of the center because I don't want to pull it into the center, because if I do that like I did before I erased what, the third time, I ended up losing that highlight. And when you lose your highlight in your images, it takes so much away from your coloring page. So I'm going to come back in here with my Tuscan red. And then like I tell you guys in all of my videos, those of you that have been following me for a while, we want to make this pot look like it's sitting behind this pot, because this pot here is actually sitting inside. So make sure you have a very, very sharp lead, and you just come in here and you line that just like that. And then I just want to brighten it up one last time, and I think that I'm good. But do you see how these really stand out from one another? Do you see how different that looks? You would never look at that and know that there was ever a quote-unquote mistake there, because, and I mean, how many times was it erased? I mean, that's just, it's very, very eye-opening. So next time when you think you made a mistake, please don't feel like you made a mistake. Use it as a learning experience and to increase your coloring skill, and just kind of sit there and experiment with it. Don't let coloring frustrate you, because once it frustrates you, like I said, it's no longer fun, and then we don't want to do it. And this is a fun hobby. And then if you guys quit coloring because you get so frustrated, then you stop watching my videos, and that'll be sad. So we don't want you to do that. I hope that y'all learned something in this video, and I hope that you learned not to critique your work as much as you have been. And I really want you all to know that coloring is a fun hobby, and we just want it to stay that way. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Everything that you've seen me use in this video, I will definitely have linked down in the description below. This beautiful coloring book that I'm coloring in, these amazing erasers. I honestly think that this one, I'm going to find out what this is, and I'm going to have it linked down in the description box below, because this eraser is phenomenal. Last time I showed it in one of my videos and somebody told me what it was called, and then I forgot the name again. But I'm sure I'll find it on Amazon, and I'll make sure that that's linked, because this eraser is amazing. But this one is also amazing. But did you see how that just picked the red right up off the paper? And red is so hard to lift. So the color wheel as well, because so many people ask me what color wheel I use. I'll make sure that is linked down below for all of you guys. So, oh, and then this one, my mono eraser, my mono zero. This is, every colorist needs this. If you don't have this, you got to grab one, okay? So they're amazing, and they're so cheap. Like, I think that eraser is like $6, and it comes with refills. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. We are going to continue to do more and more of these tips and tricks videos, because you guys really seem to love them, and I have so much more up my sleeve, and I can't wait to share with you. I hope y'all have a fabulous day. If you liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up, because it helps my videos out tremendously, and my channel is growing and growing and growing, and that makes me so happy. I love that y'all are loving my videos. I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy coloring. Bye.